took dollars out of the general fund this year for the Fourth of July. I mean, it's not I say it's not a huge event, but still we're spending $20,000 on the event from the general fund. But it would be preferable for us to spend it out of hotel fund if we can find a way to do it.
And on a side note on that too, relative to the Fourth of July, we did request assistance from partners from the hospital, from the city, the county, and the school, and they all participated. I'd love it so. So that's a good thing. Shows good unity there, so we're grateful for that. All right, thank you, Fred, on that very much. We're moving on to item 6C. That is 24-25 fiscal year preliminary budget discussion, presentation of the tax increment reinvested zone. Fred, you're up.
Yes, this will be a little longer than what we've normally spent on TERS, simply because there's a little bit of money in there. We actually have a little bit of funding, so if you go to your packet, in
Page 5.
I want to thank the finance director, by the way, on such a put this together, and we'll keep working on this because there's still some things we need to work on, but overall it's pretty good. It was pretty good. You'll see that this year, based on values, preliminary values that we received from the appraisal district, we're anticipating to add an additional $176,000 to that fund this coming year. Okay, so just to kind of give you some more clarity, on page 6 of your packet, you'll see that we've created a fund through the bank. We have a total fund balance of $420,000 in that fund. So that's a total, and that right now is just contributions. Most of the contributions have been from the city. Of that, you have $50,000 that the county has contributed. So we have a total of about $370,000 that the city's contributed, and $50,000 that the county's contributed to that fund. The county contributed last year. That'll be another point of discussion. We have a TERS meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Another point of discussion we need to have with the county and other groups that are part of that TERS group. But that's where we stand right now, is $420,000 in the TERS fund. Now the TERS, Crystal's gonna work her magic and show you, just a reminder of what the TERS consists of somewhere. That is your TERS zone, okay? So if you look at that, anything in that, I know it's hard to see, but things that are right there in the yellow area, you can work projects, and Bobby can correct me as well if I misspeak on some of this, that are public improvements any infrastructure projects, anything that is a public improvement, you can work on in those areas. You'll see that most of it is along I-35. You see the 35 there. Then you also see that little area there, which is the downtown area. You show them that? I can't recall what this other area is over here to the very bottom, Crystal, to the right.
Right
There.
Yeah.
I can't recall what that is. But in saying that, that's part of that is all the TERS area. So where I'm going with this is this: I've
This is Gross Street, Carter Street, the Carter edition.
yes. I'm trying to remember
That area behind the VFW.
Mhm.
I don't know what the intent was there. Okay, I'll just tell you that I don't know. So, but in saying that, part of the projects that I'm recommending I'm going to recommend this year is to start utilizing some of those dollars that we have this year. We haven't really done much with the TERS fund. Part of it is going to be a request for some funding for a water line that is right there in that track there, Crystal, that little triangle.
This one?
A water line extension there, and then ultimately was to work on the design for that water line to continue. You have a water line that is right there on Irma Road. You have a water line that runs on Irma Road. Continue that water line, and it ultimately is going to end up at HEB. There's a hydrant right behind HEB. Do you have Google Maps up? That's what we're talking about. This area here is, there's a development, as the council knows, the refuel is going to go right in there. And we're proposing to continue that water line to loop our system and build that water line to have water all through that section. We're seeing some development in this area, which is good. And then the goal, so that's one of the requests that that's gonna be made, is to do the construction of the water line in that little triangle, and then begin the design for the water line that continues along 35. There's another development there with Mr. Patel that we have going. I think the council's aware of this. We want to improve some traffic control right there. There's gonna be, we anticipate some traffic control issues. Hector can probably explain this a little bit better than I can. So we're looking at putting some stop signs up there, and some concrete barriers to say that they're there. So we'd like to fund that through the TERS. If you look at it, once that development goes in, which we're anticipating, hopefully they start breaking ground this summer, we're anticipating that issue being an issue between Lois Lane and Lindsay. Where people normally, when you come out of HEB, people normally don't make that, there is no stop sign. There is so when you open up that development, there's gonna be more traffic that's gonna run there off of
North and south.
North and south, of Mount Airy. North and south being on what road?
Well, it starts on Louise and ends on Lindsay, because Louise curves into towards HB.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
So now it's gonna be Lindsay, and then it's gonna venture onto, Louise, it's gonna venture onto Lindsay.
So
So we have an issue.
yeah, when you have right there, that's where you're gonna have some traffic issues, because you're gonna open up, we wanna put up, Hector, can you kind of let them know what you're looking at, what we're looking at?
So
Stop signs?
the goal here is to kind of divert.
To have a three-way stop, basically, is what we're doing, but we're gonna try to divert some of the right turning traffic, utilizing traffic islands. Some of these concrete, structures that are, 8 inches high, and they're shaped of a triangle. And that would divert the traffic that are turning right, and keep them, forcing them to yield to any north and south traffic. Because right now, what we have is a free-for-all, so people that are coming out HB and are going back towards Comal don't know if the guy coming is gonna go straight, or is he gonna keep on going on Louise Lane. So that's part of it, that's the biggest issue. And we've had maybe 3 different, including myself one time. I didn't know that the guy was going to the Hampton. I didn't know that, so, it was pretty catastrophic. It could have been, but it wasn't. But that's basically the goal here, is to redirect traffic and stop traffic where needed be.
And then the last request for this is gonna be, to begin work on a master plan for the downtown area. The downtown folks have been asking for this, and you, as a council knows, we've seen some good, in my opinion, have been some pretty good developments in the downtown area. We have not, we have, the downtown area, Dr. Sanchez and Dr. Garza have probably led the charge, and we have Artelios now we've sold our building we hope to see something soon, but if not, that's okay. We've sold our old city hall, so that is no longer, ours, but we hope that gets developed. And, we're hoping that by giving them a master plan, we do want to incorporate as part of the master plan, the library. Where's the library? Yeah, that area, and also look at incorporating. We've had questions about this, and I think it's best to get council's input and other people's input, is incorporating the Centennial Park as part of the master plan, the downtown area. Because it's been there for a long time, and we've had different requests from dog parks to, food trucks to, I can't remember what other requests we've had. But it would be something to consider, doing something with that space. But that's the goal for this year, is to try to include some park projects and get moving on some of the things that we just haven't moved on simply because there was no money in that fund. But there's money now, so there's a little bit of it.
So that's there's multiple things that are exciting about the TERS zone. It really is effective for development, and it's also, as it starts to build funds, we can do this. We can do these needed things out of that. So get ready to see some things like that. And it's at our disposal to use it.
It is again, with this understanding that it's a public improvement, and it's in the TERS zone. Yes, sir.
Right, so we'll see more on that. So those are great. Thank you for the update, Hector and Fred. Council, you have a question? All right, moving on, we've got item 6D, 24-25 fiscal year preliminary budget discussion presentation on the ARP fund. City Manager?
Yeah, this will be brief. The ARP funds, those funds will be liquidated, with the LED project we're doing. LED project, there's about $40-something thousand left. The council approved that agreement. So we'll be using those dollars to replace, our street lighting. We'll hope to start that project sometime after October. So we hope to be in project on the LED lighting.
So what we can say there, y'all, it was very good while it lasted. We got some
It's gone.
good money, we're grateful for that. All right, now to the big ticket item, going on to 6E, review and discuss preliminary budget, 24-25. City Manager?
I am gonna work hand in hand with our finance director
Awesome.
here. Hopefully she can guide us in the right direction. This is, we're not gonna get into a lot of detail tonight, because we still have budget hearings for every one of the departments. So I'm not gonna get into any details tonight. Simply, all I'm gonna go over with you in the finance director, and I can hopefully tackle this together. But we've asked for requests from all the departments, requests that they wanna have in their, things they wanna have in their budget. From what I gather, all of those requests are in here, okay? So every request that's been made by the different departments. If you look at our general fund, as you can see, I'm gonna go over page 20. I'm not gonna get into all the details again. We are gonna have budget hearings with every department head. So I do expect that the department head will, provide you details of what their requests are and why they're requesting it. And then we need to make a determination, how we're gonna balance this budget. We are not balanced right now, so I wanna make sure that that's clear, is we are gonna balance this budget, but we do need the department heads to present their case and hear back from the council. You see your budget on page 20, the general fund budget is over about $336,000. We are anticipating revenues of a little over almost $6.4 million. You have expenses of $6.7 million. So $336,000 of budget is what we're gonna have. Now, keep in mind, we do not have in this budget any tax increases or water rate increases. Yet. I'll leave that as a yet, because that is where it sits right now. So there is no request for increases yet, but that's where the budget lies. Again, we do want to get into the details at our next budget hearings on each one of these items. We'll be talking to, you, the council, will be talking general fund one night, and I believe utility fund the next night. I can't recall the schedule, but it's something to that effect. Where your eyes may pop out will be on page 21. I wanted to make sure this was right. But revenues to expenses is over little over 2 point. There's reasons for that. There's one reason, a couple of reasons for that. The revenues are, and we'll get together on this. The revenues are a little over 5.5, almost $5.6 million. Anyway, we do need to make an adjustment on the revenue side, and I'll share with you in just a minute. On the expenditure side, there is no adjustment. Part of the expenditures, which you'll see is, we have two things that we owe about $1 million of our request to clarify our $1.2 million project that we're doing at the wastewater treatment plant. That is in here. So that's part of the we have fund balance to support that amount. Now the other part is another project that we did, which was the water tanks. That's $352,000. That was historically we've been paying the past few years with ARP money. That is, again, we have no more ARP money, so $352,000. So about $1 million is made up of that. We have an additional request of about those. When you look at utility administration, water treatment, and water production, we have an increase of about going up $550,000, give or take, of those three different funds. So anyway, that's where we are right now with the budget. So we do recognize that we are going to have to make cuts. It is going to be a year that it is going to be tight. So I just wanna make sure the council knows that we know that there's gonna have to be some adjustments to the budget, particularly on the utility side. And, well, on both sides, but utilities is one that and we do have a fund balance, again, we have a fund balance to support some of these expenses. That's what we are.
And y'all need to keep in mind too, remember, we just, we're paying 1.2 million to fix our water treatment plant out of pocket. So hats off again to the city manager and finance department for, being, able to do that, instead of having to borrow the money. So we just, also note, we just also wanna be one where we have some liquidity so we can meet those needs instead of having to scramble and not do that, so.
So again, we'll get into more details on this budget, and these budgets, at the next, I think our regular council meeting is on the 9th, which is next week, I know y'all are excited about that.
Very,
And, then we have meetings, I don't remember the days in July, but we have budget meetings, different weeks of July. And we should get our tax rate, our tax appraisals, latter part of April, that means latter part of July, excuse me. So that's it, finance director, anything on your end? She's got the knife out. She's ready.
When you talk about looking more of the utility fund
Mhm.
on a difference, so I'm looking at the general funds as well, and the differences that coming through,
Yes, sir.
on different departments in different areas.
Mhm.
So, we will get a breakdown on all the streets, the police department, the administration, all of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, cause that's where, my eyes is.
Yeah.
The utilities, as I think what I'm focusing on is, I think this might be our biggest priority,
Yes, sir.
because as we're developing with different areas and all these new, everything that's coming in, I think like you said, we need to start planning accordingly to where we were looking at 5 years from now, 2 years from now, instead of panicking in the last minute to see how we're gonna, I mean, we're taking too much time on developing our city, just because we're having to work out things in the last minute, so
Yep.
we're not prioritizing what's important and what's not important. I think, we need to look at PD too, as we look at rates, crime rate and everything that's going on within our cities, and mental health and all that stuff, so where we're at, I think, it's fair to say that when we look at administration and other things, I think we can revisit that and say, you know what, there's other things that might be the priority.
Just keep,
And what about the natural gas, what's going on with that? Oh, yeah.
keep in mind.
we're gonna talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna, the things to keep in mind is, to your point, yes, there is increases with police departments, there's increases with community development, there's increases with, other departments, that we have. And part of that is, keep in mind, we are increasing, I'll give you an example, $140,000, because we wanna move forward with this home project. The home project requires some commitment from the city. We're trying to clean properties, which requires another commitment from the city. So those those dollars have to be funded, gotta come from somewhere, right? Well, that's all general fund type projects. The other piece is, we are now close to being fully staffed at the police department. So we're addressing these things. As far as being funded, I think this will be the most officers we've had ever, if we get the numbers that we're anticipating. The challenge there, and again, we'll have to have these discussions, is making sure we're all doing our part, including the city, the county, and making sure that we're all, trying to keep the community as safe as possible.
Another thing, Mayor, also as you advocate with, EMC strategy, we need to put more pressure on EMC to get some of that grant money and really advocate for that grant money to help us alleviate a lot of these, expenditures that we have within ourselves. There's a lot of grant money, but there's no movement. And I'm not seeing any movement, very few movement within grant money. And that's one thing we want to advocate, that's one of the things that we push chamber forward, that we're huge in advocating for that. So I think as we speak with Mr. Gonzalez and all this, funding, that we stay on top of it, that we make that a priority. We are going to have to rely on grant funding as we move forward, whether you want to or not, because the development, again, is going to be there. Whether we want to or not, it's coming. But we don't wanna get caught in the last minute and I'm just hesitant on that, why we have not really advocated.
I can comment on that, Councilman. I've been able to attend a couple of these meetings, with the city staff, and I'll just say it is painfully slow. The regulation on all this, it's effective, it does happen, people do get grants, but so discouraging. There's grants we've been working on in the 3 years that I've been here, and they're still not funded. And you get requests for more stuff, and so our assistant city manager is, in addition